It's no fun to play a game that you can't win, where the other player is so big and has so much up his sleeve that they can actually tell you when you have to bet and what you have to bet and how much you're going to make. Because of this rigged game, thousands of ranchers and feedlots have lost their small businesses at the same time that you are paying record prices for beef in the store. So what does this have to do with normal people like you who just want to buy good quality meat for their families at a decent price? Well, that's where the story really gets interesting. This is the story of how Mike Callicrate was taken down in a dirty game and how he created a new business that could benefit you. I will let you decide which way is better. Mike started out as a cattle feeder, which means he was buying calves from a rancher or a backgrounder when they were 500 to 700 pounds and putting them in a feedlot. A feedlot is just a really large set of corrals where large numbers of cattle are put to feed them until they're ready to butcher.
They're ready.
They're ready to go.
Yeah, they're ready to kill.
And then they're sold to a meat packer. The packer is the one who takes the live animal, butchers it, and sells it to the retailer, such as Walmart or Albertsons. So you're an individual company. You're
independent,
and you buy the cattle yourself, so you're paying for the cattle.
Right.
And then you're banking on the fact that the packer or whoever you're contracting with is going to buy them from you.
Yeah, at a price that we can pay our bills.
Okay.
Well, the problem is all those years in the late 70s when I started feeding cattle, found out later that the big meat packers were actually cooperating with each other, delegating territory and figuring out how to pay less and less for the cattle. And so we go back to 1970 when the producer of a beef animal would get 68 to 70% of the consumer dollar that was spent on the final beef product. That dropped, cleared down into the 30s, and it's in the middle 30s now. And so we lost our share of the consumer dollar because of the abusive market power of this concentrated group of meat packers. I've been in this business, but I felt after the late 80s and early 90s that I'd been playing in a fool's game, that there was no way to make money, that they would press you down. I mean, at times they'd take $200, $300 a head away from you, and then they'd give back $100, they'd give back a little bit, but you just felt like you were being mined in a way. And the other thing that a feedlot like this did is we fed for other people. And so a rancher from Montana might send me his calves on a retained ownership basis. I'd feed them out and sell them to a packer. Well, after a while, I felt like a transfer agent. Send me your calves and I'll give them to a meat packer and you're gonna lose your ranch.
Right.
That's how I was feeling. And so I started speaking out against that. Before long, we put the group together to sue IVP, the biggest meat packer that was really orchestrating the whole thing. And we ended up in a courtroom in Montgomery, Alabama in 2004, and we won. We won the case. The jury awarded the cattlemen $1.28 billion. We honestly couldn't care less about. We wanted to get the injunctive relief we needed to make them stop. Mm-hmm. And the court judge, the trial court judge, Lyle E. Strom, they brought him in because Judge Albritton didn't know the cattle business. So they bring in Strom from Nebraska, who darn well knew the cattle business, but ended up being a friend of Tyson.
I see.
He reversed the jury verdict, took the $1.28 million away from us, and to add insult to injury, made us pay Tyson's court costs of nearly $80,000.
Wow. So 1.2, how much was it?
1.28 billion.
Billion, okay.
And so what it turned out to be is not a case that was going to correct the marketplace and head us towards a more competitive marketplace with good antitrust law enforcement. Instead, what happened was the packers got the green light to just do even more, to go even deeper, to chickenize the cattle industry, to make the cattle industry like the hog industry that they had vertically integrated prior.
So big packers, how do they control the market industry?
Well, the way the big packers really took control of the industry, well, first of all, you got to get rid of your competition. So you get rid of all the small guys. So in 1978, I could sell to as many as 20 different meat packers.
So what this does then is they all have to compete to buy your cattle, right?
Right.
Okay.
And on any given Monday morning at the feedlot, 7 miles over that way, there would be a meat packer on a Monday morning before the gate opened, sleeping in his car. because he wanted first shot.
Yeah, he wanted to get a first shot.
First shot at our show list, and we had good cattle, and so they wanted those cattle, and you know, that's the way it was. It was great. It was a short time when it was actually fun to feed cattle and fun to feed cattle for other people as well. Well, that disappeared really fast. Once IBP built their new plant at Holcomb, Kansas, down by Garden City, basically they all disappeared. Well, once they disappear and all you've got left is IBP, Cargill, and ConAgra.
Did they buy out?
No, they just broke them. They didn't buy them out. They just busted them. They just put them out of business. And there's a whole story.
How'd they put them out of business?
There's a whole story around that in the Midwest. There's got all these small plants that produce nothing but carcasses. And I grew up in Evergreen, Colorado, working at Thrifty Food Market, and I worked in the meat department there. Everything we did was from a carcass. So we got carcass beef in hanging, like we do in Colorado Springs right now, and we processed all of that into a finished retail meat counter every day. The meat packers were not doing boxed beef.
Okay.
And so it was really boxed beef that killed the small plants.
I see.
The lack and the de-skilling of the meat cutters in all of these grocery stores. See, a meat cutter in a grocery store used to be a real butcher. He could take a carcass and cut it up. Well, nobody can do that now because they're getting boxed beef. They're getting the prinals in a box. And so this is how they've put the meat cutters out of business that actually knew what they were doing. And when we went to boxed beef, it essentially enabled the de-skilling of the industry. And so the big retailers made a lot more money because they got rid of the high-priced labor in the meat department. And the unions had to agree to it, which they did because they were bribed. The grocery store executives were bribed by IBP, and this is a whole case that Jonathan Quitney wrote about in the book, The Mafia in the Marketplace, where IBP bribed the meat mafia in New York City to get boxed beef in. Well, once they get the boxed beef in, that now you really can control the market a lot more. So you've got IBP, Cargill, ConAgra, and National Beef. Those were the only 4 packers that were essentially left.
So talking about the difference between boxed beef and a carcass, this is a carcass.
That's a carcass.
Right.
And boxed beef is when you break this carcass down into the pieces.
And put it in
most people don't know how to do.
Okay.
So that then can be shipped off to big grocery stores and restaurants and whatever that may want to further process and cut into the various steaks and different chuck roasts and arm roasts and all the various parts and pieces. They can now buy that in a box and not have to buy so many bones, and they don't have to buy the trim. Then they don't have to worry about, well, how would you sell this much ground beef? That goes somewhere else. That goes to McDonald's or to a hamburger place.
So when you were talking about carcass versus boxed beef, we're talking about the fact that instead of doing this, it's already cut.
Right. And so what IBP did is they put in box plants at all their main plants. And so what they did is they got these small packers in the Midwest that were producing carcasses to sell them their carcasses. So think about it. You're a small plant, Cornland, for example, out of Lexington, Nebraska, and you're going out there and buying finished fat cattle in competition with IBP. But your only market then, because the grocery stores are only buying boxed beef now, your only market is to sell IBP the carcasses so that they can process those carcasses and sell. You're done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this was a plan. I've got a copy of it.
I see.
It was a plan that IBP put together. It was brilliant. It wiped out the competition. And now we've got 4 big meat packers left that basically cooperate with one another to maximize profits.
And so the retailers didn't want to deal with the carcass.
No, they got rid of their skilled labor.
So they didn't have to hire that.
They couldn't deal with a carcass anymore.
Right, because they didn't have anybody that could do it.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's 1986. I've just decided to build my own feedlot, and so I built it the best I could.
Yeah.
And this is a sandy type soil.
It is. It's very nice.
Good drainage, straight drainage out of the pens. And these cattle,
so it doesn't get
they
wet.
always stay dry.
Yeah.
And plus, look how much room they have.
Yeah.
If this was a corporate feedlot, these pens would be stacked, packed full of cattle.
Yeah.
And they'd be muddy, and and then you get a big snow, and it's a disaster. I mean, there's nothing worse on cattle than mud. But the accountants are deciding how many cattle are in the pens. Not a cowboy. Not somebody that knows the importance of keeping animals comfortable and happy.
So now, like, there's a whole bunch of empty pens over there and stuff.
Well,
so in '86 you were doing this, and then
this yard held 12,000 cattle.
12,000. What do you got in here now?
1,200.
1,200.
So we're at 10% of our capacity.
10%.
But hey, I'm fine. We're selling meat instead of livestock.
Yes.
We're not losing a big part of the ranch every time we sell a load of cattle.
Right. How did you transition away from selling? Because at 12,000 head, you were actually selling to the packers, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, first of all, the packer came to me, and the only one I had left buying from me was National Beef. That was it. All the rest of them bought from other feedlots, but they had already delegated territory, and I wasn't one of them that they bought from. So National Beef was buying my cattle. And they're one of the big four. They're one of the big four.
So that means you had no competition.
Zero.
Or they had competition. They could tell you.
They came, they offered me a price, you had to take it. And of course, that didn't last long. I mean, we've lost 85,000 feedlots like this one because of a lack of competition. And so in 1998, the National Beef buyer came. And by then we had 14,000 head in a 12,000 head feedlot because we still had cattle coming in, but we couldn't get rid of the fat ones we had.
Okay.
And I says, Don, what are we going to do here? You're not buying my cattle. I've seen your trucks running down the highway right past us, and what's wrong with my cattle? And he finally admitted, he says, Mike, look, I've been told not to buy your cattle.
Why? Because
you're suing IBP, you're speaking out against the concentration and consolidation in the industry, and we don't like it. So we're not going to buy your cattle. So I picked up the phone and I called Dan Glickman, the Secretary of Agriculture at the time, the guy that was supposed to enforce the Packers and Stockyards Act, which was designed to keep the market competitive. Mm-hmm. I said, hey, Dan, Mike Callicrate, of course he knew who I was. I'd testified before his committees and that, and he knew exactly who I was. And I says, Dan, I've just been told National won't buy my cattle anymore. What do you think? First I said, why don't you just enforce the Packers and Stockyards Act and I wouldn't have this problem? Well, Mike, in this age of globalization, we need big companies that can do business globally. That was the truth. That was the truth of what drove government at the time. Mm-hmm. Support big is better. And I said, well, Dan, that's not going to get my cattle sold. So he called ConAgra, which is now JBS out of Greeley. He called ConAgra and he says, go buy all Callicrate's cattle. Pay him the market. Whatever you got to do, you just take them all. And that's what happened. ConAgra bought every single one of my cattle. As they became fat, I emptied out, and you look down this alley and there was not a hoof, there was not an animal in this entire place. And honestly, this is one of the better designed, nicest feedlots in the industry. And here it is, flat out empty. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, shoot, what do we do now? 15 people went to town without a job, and I mean, it was bad. I was in a pretty dark place.
I'll bet.
And so finally I just decided one day, well, I think I'll sell meat instead of livestock. See how that works. And I called up a meat scientist at Kansas State University and I said, hey, if you were going to slaughter some animals, where would you recommend I go? Oh, I said, yeah, you need to go to GNC Packing Company in Colorado Springs. They just put in this really cool technology up there. These guys are great. That's where I'd go. That's your closest one. So I sent them 40 head of fat cattle. I put them on feed. When they got fat, I sent them. That was June of 2000. I sent them up to Colorado Springs and I started Ranch Foods Direct.
Oh, okay. So how did you get from there to doing your own?
Well, GNC went out of business.
Oh.
They were just another victim of the big meat packers. Mm-hmm. They couldn't sell what they were producing, and they'd gone all custom, so pretty much custom killing for the people. And their biggest customer, the Buffalo processor, decided to build their own plant, which left GNC hanging. And by then I knew this was happening, and by then we had already designed a mobile slaughter unit.
Okay.
And so we brought the mobile slaughter unit here to St. Francis. And we were now starting to slaughter our own animals through that mobile slaughter. And by then we already had our own plant in Colorado Springs to break the carcass and to sell meat. And so we just started in, and eventually the mobile slaughter unit was replaced by this purpose-built facility that we just toured. Kill floor.
Okay, so this is where you do the slaughtering.
Yep. And then the carcasses go in to that cooler, which is your drip cooler. Kill box.
Over here.
Yeah, we take the hide off, drop the guts, split the carcass, and then they go into here. So they're loading the truck for tomorrow. It's going to go up to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And it'll be full all the way to the back. And they'll leave Colorado Springs around 3 in the morning.
Okay.
So they'll be here and offload the empty trailer, hook onto the full one, and away they'll go up to Colorado Springs.
All Ranch Food Direct's carcasses are hung for at least 14 days, and that is for a flavor and texture as well as a way to mitigate the stuff like E. coli and salmonella, because dry aging is an age-old process.
That's the Wagyu. That's the Wagyu cross. That's the marbling you get.
Okay. Marbling is that
the
fat in the meat there, yeah.
Right.
Yep, in the muscle.
Yeah.
How you doing?
After the carcasses are loaded on the truck, we headed back on the plane to Colorado Springs, where they're going to be unloaded. This is where the carcasses are unloaded off the truck and placed in a freezer where they can be further cut down into the steaks, sausages, and hamburgers that we all enjoy today.
Just roll them right on there. What are you here?
I'm just a master butcher.
You're a master butcher?
Yeah, and I've been in the industry since 2006. Since we took over our own slaughter, and we control all parts of Ranch Foods now, from the ranch to the slaughter to the trucks. We'll receive the carcasses in and start breaking them. We need orders for sirloins, for ribeyes. We break it right off the carcass.
Just look at the number of employees that are employed right here to do this butchering process in-house. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 of them in here right now.
Local people and local jobs, learning skills that are now becoming really hard to find in the industry.
We're going for that 75% right now.
Okay.
So this is looking pretty close.
They're working in here, and the temperature is about 32 to 38 degrees, depending on what they're doing, so that it keeps a constant good temperature for that meat.
Master Butcher has a lot of different jobs, and right here he's mixing in the seasoning with pork that he just ground up for chorizo.
We're all mixed up, and if you look,
Oh yeah.
it'll stick to your fingers. That's kind of what you want.
Okay.
You just give yourself a little bit of room,
Yeah.
and you just want it to push.
Pinch it.
Yeah, it kind of does the work for you.
It's amazing how long an intestine is when you start doing that. That's just 2 of them, and it's like a mile long.
Basically, I go, finger to finger. That's kind of the rule.
Okay.
Everybody does it a little bit different.
Yeah.
But then I'll pinch, and you're gonna go forwards until it's nice, looks good and uniform. And I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna come back.
So it's opposite every time.
Yeah.
Do they sell this right upstairs here then?
Yeah, we sell this at both locations.
Okay.
Our pork is amazing.
Okay.
So we have pigs over on that side of the road. That used to run about 1,200 cattle over on that side. And then the rest of the cattle were over on this side. So now that's all turned into pig production. And honestly, if you really want to make money, get a sow and have piglets.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've heard there's no money in the pig market at all.
No, if you can sell pork.
Oh, if you can sell pork directly. Okay. Yeah.
No, there's zero money in the pig business if you're selling to Smithfield and JBS and Cargill and those kind of places.
Because they own the whole business all the way up, don't they? I mean,
they just break you.
Yeah.
So you're basically, they've done to pigs what they did to chickens, and they've turned them all into contract growers.
Can we go look at the pigs a minute?
Sure.
Being that the whole industry is actually owned all the way from the bottom to the top by the packer, he's just paying the farmer to raise them, right?
Right. Right. But he's paying the farmer less than what it costs him, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they're dictated because they don't own anything. So they got the farm. If you want to keep the farm,
You got to take whatever
you got to
they
take
offer.
whatever they'll get.
Right. So a sow will produce 20 piglets a year if well managed.
Okay. Yeah.
If a piglet is grown into a full-grown finished market hog at 300 pounds, and even if they bring $1, that's $6,000 per sow income. Now, what
Gotcha.
cow did you ever see that could do that?
No. That.
And
they
if
don't
you
do that.
raise pigs right, if you produce the right kind of hog with the right genetics, like these are Berkshire crosses, mixed breed sows with Berkshire boars, if you really raise a pig and do it right, it's as good as a steak.
Oh yeah.
But you
Yeah.
take some of this pork that's in these grocery stores today, it's literally inedible. There's no fat in it. It's watery. They pump it full of solutions. I mean, it's just terrible. And man, you put one of these pork chops on your plate, you won't ever forget it.
Really? So so it blows my mind because it's beef and hog, right? That we're
Right.
eating in the grocery store. So
Right.
why the heck is it so different? When you raise it here and you butcher it, you can taste the difference. You can see
Yeah.
the difference and taste
Well-
it. Why is it so different?
Well, one of the things is the hogs that are in the industrial system are a breed that's been designed to be lean.
Oh, okay.
And lean is bad.
Gotcha.
You know, of course, this goes back to the days when we made fat bad, which was
Right.
a serious, terrible mistake from a health perspective, especially because the nutrients, the real nutrients that we need, are in the fat.
I see.
The amino acids, the essential amino acids, and the thing is, these pigs, think of what the vitamin D level is in the fat in these pigs.
Yeah.
What's the vitamin D level in a hog that has never seen the sun?
Yeah, true. Right.
And so you take this rendered pork fat. Think about how much healthier that is
Right.
with those high levels of vitamin D. And you can see that Berkshire look. See if they're the black hog.
Okay.
They got the black.
Uh-huh.
And a Berkshire is to pork in pigs what Wagyu is to beef.
Oh, is it?
So it's
okay.
high marbled. They select for high marbled and getting, flavor back in the pork. So when you eat this pork, honestly, it's a toss up between a strip and a pork chop for me.
Interestingly, we're talking about fat, and everybody thinks fat is bad, but now Wagyu is such a big deal
Right.
because it has fat in it. So what?
But we've shifted.
But there is a fat that is bad, which
any
is
fat can be potentially
saturated
bad.
fat. Or
Well, it could, and we've now figured out that saturated fat isn't that bad either. It's just that the seed oil outfits were trying to make it bad, so you'd buy seed oil,
I see.
Crisco instead of lard, right? But the deal is, with Wagyu, the omega-3 to 6 ratio is better genetically, so that's a good thing. So
Gotcha.
and omega-3s are good. We know
Yes.
omega-3s are good.
yes,
But omega-6s aren't as bad as they tried to make them out to be. But we've had this whole shift, particularly now to the carnivore diets,
Yeah.
that has gotten people more aware of how much healthier meat can be. Not that you need to be a carnivore strictly, but that you need to have a meat-centered diet.
yeah. Well, they look happy. Tell you that. They do. Look like they're having fun.
They're happier when you're here. They love people. They love.
Yeah.
They've got such
Watching
wonderful
ya.
personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that pigtail I was talking about?
Yep.
You just kind of want to spread it apart, and
I see.
it keeps a hold when it's like that. So there we got Ranch
There you go.
Foods chorizo.
Awesome.
The model of Ranch Foods Direct is to sell this meat, which was raised, butchered, and cut right here for the customer, so they have a higher quality product and know exactly where it came from.
And what we are is a place where people, if you've got a product like this is my neighbor up on the hill,
Oh yeah.
and this is one of our fastest selling items. She makes this in her kitchen.
Oh really?
But with the new cottage food laws, we can do that now in Colorado. So you can make stuff in your kitchen and then you can sell it to the public.
Cool.
That was a big improvement. So a lot of people come here to start a business.
Right.
Out here we had Blake Fires, whose daughter had a project in school to make soap. Well, they were making it out of whatever stuff, but it wasn't beef tallow.
Right.
So Blake came to us and I said, well, if you want to do soap, can we supply your tallow? And you're rendered for that. I think you are. But this helps us a wholesale tallow.
Absolutely.
And it gives him a healthy soap option.
I see.
I mean, if you look at any of the grocery store soaps, they're just full of detergents.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way you should be putting that on your skin. So this makes much healthier skin. And then we've got a woman here that's making a cream, a face cream.
Okay.
And we've got JoJo, who's our meat cutter in this place.
Yeah.
That renders tallow down into a really nice cream. So just stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's a place where people can come in with these ideas and make this stuff and sell it here.
Market.
Gotcha.
And some of them don't even go further than here. This is
Right.
it.
Right.
They make a living.
Right.
At least it's part of a living.
Right.
They have our poultry section.
Poultry. Okay.
Yeah.
Now do you butcher the poultry?
We buy that. We buy Redbird. And it's the best commercial line that you can get. There's very, very few places to buy poultry.
Oh, yeah.
This is our pork, which we produce ourselves. And we make most of the sausages. We do carry a few of Continental's products that, they buy our pork and they produce the product. So we sell their product in our store over here. Where you could buy it already packaged, just take it home, throw it in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Gets better with age. A lot of people like to buy out of this area.
How many animals are in a pound package of this? Well, depending on how many we process, say we do 10 head a day in Colorado Springs. Well, there could be as many as 10 head in this.
Okay.
But very likely it's one or two. It just depends on the day. Now that is opposed to, in 1998, University of Colorado did a DNA analysis on a quarter-pound hamburger patty that was going to McDonald's. The same kind of patty that went to McDonald's. There were 1,082 DNA represented in a quarter-pound hamburger patty.
Wow.
Really? How does that happen? Well, a big packer kills 6,000 animals a day. Mm-hmm. So there's very likely parts of those 6,000 animals in whatever leaves the plant. Well, then when it leaves the plant, it's gonna get mixed with other meat, maybe foreign beef that's imported, maybe other meat packer meat, but it's likely gonna have 10 or 11, maybe 12% pink slime in it, which has got a whole bunch of different DNA, and so now it would be thousands.
Otherwise, the only difference between this and the fresh tower is you can have that cut to order.
Okay.
Plus, that might have about an extra week of age on it.
Hanging.
Hanging in the little cooler off to the left.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's bone in. A lot of that will be bone in, where none of this is bone in.
Why is it not bone in?
Because bones don't like the packaging. They blow holes through it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, you're gotcha. This is a roll stock machine that we just don't want to take time to have to put bone guard on everything. We're better off just giving them the bone in option over here.
Right. Absolutely.
This is our newsletter that gets every month, comes out. Candace does that. She always has a cool quote of some kind up there. She's done this for 20 years now.
Huh.
We got biochar and bundle shop that we sell for people with gardens.
Okay.
For soil
So
amendment.
this you make the bone char?
Yeah.
You make the bone char out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seeds, and now getting ready to plant gardens.
We were talking about the bone char that comes from when you're butchering and
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pyrolyzing the bones.
Okay.
The other thing that we do is we feed biochar to our cattle.
So what is biochar?
Biochar is charcoal.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And, it's what your doctor will probably have you take if you get some poison. And so it captures that in your gut and you're fine.
Okay.
So it'll help with that. But charcoal in a ruminant animal reduces acid levels. Also reduces the amount of methane that they produce.
Really?
But it gives you a pretty decent improvement in feed efficiency. And all it is just this inert charcoal.
Right.
So it's carbon. It's just essentially it's carbon. So now we're feeding it to the livestock, and so it's in the manure. So where's it going to go then?
Right out.
Well, then it's going to go out on the soil.
Right.
And what's going to happen then? Well, the dung beetles are going to take it down. The dung beetles are going to bury it for you.
Right.
Down in the root zone. I mean, this is the coolest thing ever to feed charcoal.
So charcoal is then, because it's good for soil.
Oh, totally. It's like the terra preta in the Amazon, where they put the charcoal back in the soil, and then we've got these really deep soil profiles that is just this black product that's just alive with microbial life. And so the biochar, we call it biochar, which is charcoal. Mm-hmm. This is where microorganisms live. It's like their house in the soil that gives them that safe place to live.
Oh, okay.
And so we do that. And our manure goes over on the hill. You see that yellow machine? That's a screener. And you see that white pile? That's bones. Well, what we do with the bones is we turn those into bone char, which is high calcium phosphorus.
So you burn them?
We burn them. We pyrolyze them in that silver thing that's over on the hill there. You can barely see it.
Oh yeah.
Next to the white trailer.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's where we make our biochar out of wood.
Okay.
And it's where we make our bone char out of bones. And so that byproduct then gets mixed in to that pile there that's just north of the screener, and that gets then put on our soil, on the land. And so what else can we do?
Right. So you're taking it right back out and
we'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done everything we can possibly think of.
Here's our dairy section. We're out Presbyterian in Denver, which is the best regional dairy. That uses, antibiotic-free stuff.
Okay.
It's pasteurized, homogenized, which I prefer the raw milk.
Yeah.
Which I get every week. I get a jar of that every week. But those, it's either our eggs or Yoder Family Farm eggs out of the San Luis Valley. Good, a really high quality egg.
They have a whole belly section here that we produce it and we slice it.
So you produce this stuff too?
Yeah.
Like pepperoni too?
The pepperoni stuff.
Oh, we do the corned beef, the roast beef, the pastrami, the deli hams, all that's us.
Cool.
Ice cream, big seller. These folks were located a block away over here in a little strip mall corner. Now they've moved to a bigger location.
Okay.
This is amazing. This stuff is really good.
Is it?
Yeah, really creamy and
they just make homemade ice cream, or is it kind of healthier?
Well, I think it's healthier.
Yeah.
It's from the Royal Crest supply, so it's a healthier produced milk.
Okay.
Meet Trinity. Adrian,
How you doing?
our chef.
But what do you do here?
I do a little bit everything.
Yeah.
To make all the soups. We put some meals, to make meals. And
Pre-made meals?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So you're gonna smoke the meat and then.
I already smoke it. I'm gonna just kind of pull it, like a pulled pork. kinda.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did you smoke that?
We'll smoke it for 12 hours.
12 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like to try it?
Oh man. I could try it. Okay. Wow. I'm not very good at describing how food tastes, but I could have literally sat here and ate half of this thing right then. Okay.
Try some of that one.
Oh, thanks, Adrian.
That is excellent.
Yeah, so
And this is
This is Adrian's broth that we got in the cup.
okay. Beef broth,
Yeah, bone broth.
bone broth. Okay. There's a lot of health benefits to bone broth.
Ton. Collagen.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that is so good.
yeah.
Tell you what, this is like eating the best this is eating top quality here. This is amazing.
And so we create these spaces where people can eat the best possible food and improve health in these little places like Adrian's Kitchen. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go there?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's families now in Colorado Springs that shop nowhere else for a meal. I'm one of them. I don't eat anything out of a grocery store. The only thing I use at a grocery store for is laundry detergent, paper goods, stuff like, or I might buy some avocados and some blueberries,
Right.
which we don't sell here.
We don't have anywhere where you can buy this stuff like this, that I know of in Montana.
Right.
Which is ridiculous.
You're an importer.
We grow all the beef right there.
And you import meat.
Yeah.
Then over here we got our marrow bones in overnight.
Yeah, these are the marrow bones. Yeah.
Yep. And then this is where your offal is. So you got pork fat, beef suet, pig feet.
The feet. Okay.
Sinews, which is tendon. There's a lot of collagen in that. In fact, we got a lot of broth makers that come in and they'll put the sinew in their broth, which increases the collagen content a lot.
Oh, okay.
And then you got your beef liver, your heart, the kidney, beef cheek, and tongue right here.
Right here's the tongue.
Right.
Beef tongue. Yeah. Cool. So, what do you think of tongue?
I love it. I love it. Cook it a long time, low and slow. Hola! You know what I want? Cheeseburger, jalapenos.
Okay, sure.
So this is your beef, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to eat at this food truck on the street was really an awesome experience. This was an incredible meal, but the fries, fried in beef tallow, were amazing. I have to say, that is a flavor I really prefer over whatever it is that we fry fries in most of the time. Beef tallow is definitely superior in flavor to me.
So where's the
Look at that.
headquarters?
If you're familiar with where Sturman Industries used to be.
That's so good.
Yeah.
One thing I see that you're doing is you have the feedlot, you have the packing plant, and the retail market. So how important is it to have all three? Can you have one of them without, how do you?
So when I started Ranch Foods Direct, I had the cow herd, and we still have the cow herd. They're over the hill.
Okay.
We had the feedlot, and we had the brake plant and retail store, and we're selling to some wholesale.
So you already had the
customers.
retail.
The part we
element.
were missing was the slaughter.
Okay.
If any part is missing, if you don't have control over every single part, you're vulnerable. You'll go out of business.
Because then whatever part you don't have control over, somebody can dictate to you then.
That's right. Just like GNC was our weak link. So the big packers forced them out of business.
Right.
They're gone. Okay, Callicrate, what are you going to do now? Oh, well, I guess I'm going to do a mobile slaughter unit. Oh, man, don't you ever give up? So I built that. And then now we have a purpose built. And now we have it all together from the cow, and we love doing business with our neighbors too. So our neighbors, if they adopt the breeding program and the protocol, then they can send their cattle in here and get a good premium over whatever the market may be at the time. And so we've got it all done now. We from the cow all the way to the retail store. And so we're capturing the entire thing. Now that does not mean you're going to be successful. You've got to put enough volume through it to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. So, and this is what the big guys are really good at, is if they need more volume through a plant, they just shut one down. Like Tyson shut the pork plant down in Perry, Iowa. You know, they've announced last week that plant's going dark.
Right.
And so they force more through the existing plants, which improves, their return on investment.
I see.
But they leave communities now with 1,300 workers with no jobs.
Right.
See, that would really bother me. I mean, I knew the impact it had on me when I lost 15 people that lost jobs. I mean, that was too much to bear. Mm-hmm. But I live in this community. I have to go to church here. I live in town, and we're part of the same community. And here I am, letting 15 people go.
Right.
That ain't good. And so you got to be able to have the business to justify the investment in the infrastructure. And this is where I really believe that we have got to focus on building maker-owned marketplaces that are outside of the industrial, big monopoly, big food industry, to where you've got your bread maker, your butcher shop with carcasses hanging, you got your burgers, your tacos, your distillery, your all in one place. But these makers co-own it together like a condominium. Mm-hmm. And they operate under a set of principles that says we're going to buy local, we're going to pay fair wages, we're going to build community and not destroy community like the industrial system we currently have in place around America.
Callicrate's vision for how the food system really should work is really something that can happen if we change how we do things in the United States. And that doesn't mean to eliminate cattle, because cattle are an essential part of this ecosystem. To super large corporations, it's about trying to get the most profit out of those communities as they can into their corporation. Or if you bring it back to a local community aspect, what you end up doing is the people that live there care more about the ecosystem that they live around. And I believe wholeheartedly that cattle and grazing and the people that raise them are a huge part of that. Not only that, but the health benefits of actually eating grazing ruminant animals is incredible. In the future, I'm going to get more into how health benefits from the stuff that we have demonized, red meat and fat, are actually beneficial to you, and how cattle and grazing animals actually benefit the environment and can be the answer to saving the earth. Until next time, I'm Trinity Vandenaker. God bless.